Okay, so now moving on to the second example, right? We are asked to suppose that at the end of each year, right, for the next 4 years, Thabo deposits 5,000 Rand into a savings account paying 4.8% interest compounded annually, right? How much is in the account at the end of 4 years, right? What is the difference between this example and the one that we just did, right? Well, in the one that we just did, right, we were told that 17,000 something Rand, right, was deposited into a savings account, right, and just left to grow over a period of 4 years, right. But what's happening over here is that we're seeing that at the end of each year, right, this amount of 5,000 Rand is deposited into the savings account, right? And we're going to do that for a total of 4 years. Okay. So now when you have an amount, right, which remains constant, and you deposit that over regular time periods, right, then we call that an annuity, right? And in this case, we are asked to calculate how much we're going to have at the end of the 4 years. So this one specifically is a future value annuity, okay? Because it's acting the same way as what the previous savings account was doing, right? We're putting money into the account and we're allowing it to grow, right? The only difference is that previously we put in just a large amount of money and we left that to grow. But now we are going to put in over regular periods, right, a constant amount of money, right? So again, we can draw up our number line, right, and this is T0, right? So remember that T0 represents the start of the first year, right? So at T1, we're going to have the end of the first year, which is where we're going to make this first deposit of 5,000 Rand, okay? And then at the end of the second year, right, we're going to make our second 5,000 Rand deposit. Again, at the end of the third year, we make another 5,000 Rand deposit, right? And lastly, at the end of the fourth year, okay, we make our last 5,000 Rand deposit. Okay, and this T4 also represents the start of the fifth year, right? But we're only doing this for 4 years, so this is where we stop. Okay. So now let's just go about this a different way, right? So let's not think about the future value formula for now, right? Let's just think about this as just each of these 5,000 Rands, right, being invested in this account for a certain amount of time, okay? All right, so let's start with this first 5,000 Rand, okay? So if we consider this first 5,000 Rand, this one over here, T1, okay? It's going to be in this account, right, for 1, 2, 3 compounding periods, right? So the N for this 5,000 Rand is equals to 3, right? And then when you look at the second 5,000 Rand that we deposit, right, it sits in this account, right, for 1, 2 compounding periods, right? So for the N for this 5,000 Rand is only 2, okay? And then lastly, if we look at this 5,000 Rand, okay, it only sits in this account for 1 compounding period, right? So its N is equals to 1, right? So this last 5,000 Rand, in fact, does not earn any interest whatsoever, okay? And again, just to remind ourselves, this account is earning interest at 4.8% compounded annually. So we can then see that at the end of these 4 years, right, what we're going to have is the sum of all of these 5,000 Rands times their own interest periods. So over here at the end of 4 years, right? The first thing that we have to have is obviously this 5,000 Rand that doesn't earn any interest. Okay, and we can add to that, right, this previous 5,000 Rand, okay, which earned 1 plus 0.048 interest, right, to the exponent of 1, okay, that's its compounding period. Right, so essentially this comes from P times 1 plus I to the N. Right, so this is just applying the compound interest formula. Okay, then we also have to add to that, right, the 5,000 Rand before that, okay, so 5,000 Rand, and that's going to have its own interest. Okay, and then we also have to add the very first 5,000 Rand that we deposited, and that's the one that earns the most interest. Okay. Now, if you take all of these and you add them up, right, that's going to tell us how much is in this account after this 4-year period, right? Okay, so notice that if we write out this calculation that we created inside this box, right, out in just a straight line, okay, because you should notice that this just forms, okay, a geometric series, right? So this is A plus AR plus AR squared plus AR cubed, right? Term 1, term 2, term 3, term 4, okay? So because it's a geometric series, what you can do is you can take another approach, right, and calculate the amount that's going to be in this account at the end of 4 years using the geometric series formula. Okay, so S4, okay, so the sum of 4 terms is equals to A, right, which is 5,000 Rand, into your R value. Okay, so your R value in this case is 1 plus 0.048 to the exponent of N, right? So N for your geometric series comes from here. So it's 4, okay, minus 1 divided by R. Okay, so R is 1 plus 0.048 minus 1. Okay, so now you can see that these minus 1's, right, actually cancel each other out. In the denominator, what you're just left with is your interest. Okay, and this is actually equals to the future value formula. Okay, so if we had to do the same sum, right, using the future value formula, okay, we would have X, right, which is our regular deposits, and that is an amount of 5,000 Rand, into, right, 1 plus I, right, which is 0.048 to the exponent of N, where N in this case represents the number of compounding periods, right, or your number of payments, same thing, right? So over here, the number of times that you took out this 5,000 Rand is just 4 times, okay, and then it's minus 1, and that's all divided by I, okay, which is 0.048. Okay, so basically what I'm trying to show you guys over here is that with these type of problems, you can think about it in a lot of different ways. Okay, you can think about it in this first way, okay, which is very simple, or you can see the situation as a geometric sequence, or you can just see this as simply applying the future value formula. Okay, obviously in the exams, chances are you're just going to go directly into applying the future value formula, but while you are studying financial maths, it's nice to just think about oh, how can I find this answer? Okay, in different ways. Okay, and then you might be thinking now, oh, this is easy because the compounding period is annually. This annually doesn't make a difference because if this was monthly, right, the only thing that would happen is that over here at your interest, right, you would divide by 12 and you would multiply the number of years, okay, by 12. That's the only thing that would happen. Okay, that's the only change that you would have to do. Okay, so I'm going to now pop this into a calculator and evaluate it. Okay, and we get that at the end of 4 years, right? Thabo will get 21,486 and 63 cents. Okay, so 21,486 and 63 cents.